right, good morning traders, and welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. All right, and so we go through live analysis here Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. Then we have on Wednesdays, Jay Trader, Stocks Trader. He'll be trading live, showing his setups, then we will have on Thursday, Scott Pulcini, and he'll be going through the way that he trades futures. Okay, so pretty robust webinar schedule here that we have every week. Anyway, let's get going here. I need to go through the disclosures, and then we're going to jump right into the S&P E-mini or anything else that you guys want to take a look at here. Good morning, Alan and Nat, as well as others here in Discord. So general disclosure, all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's jump in and take a look at the S&P 500 here, or the E-mini here, and see what's going on. We will jump over and take a look at some stocks as well, so let me know what stocks you guys are interested in, and we'll do that. And we're going to do more and more of that, I think, moving forward. There's been a lot of requests for it. Good evening from Germany. All right. All right, so let's see here. What are we looking at in the S&P immediately here? You know, pretty funny order flow or price action here. In fact, this stops and icebergs here, the on chart here. I'm going to take this off. I mean, we can see some pretty significant iceberg selling here, a few compared to buying. So that's something we want to be aware of. You can see kind of the movement up as well as the movement right back down. So right in here. And I don't see actually a lot of those icebergs buying, which is kind of interesting here. Yet I see it. I see the move up here. Anyway, it's kind of matching exactly what's happening here in the price action. Stops, on the other hand, lots of people getting stopped out to the upside, and then it's been kind of quiet here on the stops, a little bit to the downside. All right, so let's take this off the chart for now. We'll maybe revisit that in a minute here. Okay, stops and icebergs on chart, as well as, let's see here, I've got the strength indicator that it was demoing the other day. We'll take that off. Okay. All right, so what are we looking at here in the price action? Well, 930 cash open, boom, gap fill up to the upside, and then some right through liquidity here. Around 90, 43.90, went up above it, and this is, you can see how this is kind of turning into the battleground here, and here's why. If we take a look at it here, if we look at the structure, okay, so we have structure up here and now structure down below, and this is where the breakout took place. So it's kind of the bigger picture, or for the day at least, the structure, right? So actually, this pattern here you see all the time, right? So you know, keep an eye open for this. You'll see this like during quiet sessions, or like the Asian session. You'll see this all the time. Very, very, very quiet breakout, and then it kind of captures a lot of trading up here at this area, and then it moves away from it. And then it doesn't come back and revisit that area here. So this is like kind of like trapped volume. Gets people excited, gets people kind of committed to this range up here, and then it trades back down in this range, and you know, you'll see it bash stops on one side or the other, etc. Anyway, just keep an eye open for that. You'll see it a lot. We see it in micro ranges. We can just zoom in and look at micro ranges of that all the time. I mean, here it is down here. So same idea. The bigger range is here. Now it's the opposite here. Moved pretty quickly to the downside, here's the volume here, and then it tried to capture a little bit up here. I mean, you can see actually it's here and then here. All right, let me redraw that. Okay, so and we can point to another one. Heck, we can even find a better one. Probably here's a micro one here, just to get the point across. Structure, breakout, and then it comes back into the structure. Here's another one here. Structure, breakout, retest, and then this one actually continued, went higher here, and then finally came back down into it. But, a lot of people are going to get stopped out here, and you can see that with the stops and icebergs here. So the stop, you see the stop run here to the upside. All right, so anyway, this is what's really a really nice feature in Bookmap is so visual, and this data here is a lot. You hear these stories, oh well, they're getting stopped out or whatever. Yeah, here it is. Here's the evidence, and there's no refuting it as well. So a nice stop run here, kind of sideways action, and then a nicer stop run up here as well. Okay, right at the extremes. So anyway, let's take a look at the bigger picture here since it's Monday. We'll zoom out and take a look at the daily, just regular kind of candlestick charts here, and get an idea of what's going on. All right, so here's the daily over here. You can see where we opened up, opened up here. We moved to the downside, came right back up, so it did pierce the range from last week here, or these lows here. However, it's right back in the range. Okay, so we want to keep an eye on that. This is rejection on the daily chart here. Okay, so is it going to continue, or is it going to kind of fade out up here at the highs and then come back down and revisit these areas here? These are the questions we want to know, and this is what the order flow is going to tell us. All right, so looking over here at the hourly chart, okay, you can see the the open, and then it moved back up into the range here. All right, so the 15, or is this a 5 minute? This is a 5 minute, which is fine. We can let's take a look at a 15 minute. All right. In the 15 minute, you can see like open down here, filled the gap and above. Look where the 15 minute starts to show us a little bit more. Look at the structure here. Okay, see that this move up, this was back on April 14th, the move up and then the move back down. This structure here, okay, this swing here, and this rejection here and the move back down lower, this is where we just retested. Okay, and we're back in the range now. So or back down below, right? So if we look at today's action in Bookmap, that's why we see this move up and then the move right back down. Okay, all right, so let's see if there's any questions. Tracer or eraser, is it eraser or tracer? Let me take a quick look here. Eraser, yeah. No, I recall you. Yeah, you've been here for a few weeks now, I think. So excellent. So you're profitable, and finish your day with profit target, but down more. Okay, all right. All right. Well, anyway, good to have you in here, and let's continue on here. Any other questions? Is the European market closed today, MC Loco? I know you're asking that. I mean, we're not seeing much action here, that's for sure. But you can still get really good moves on days like today. Alec, welcome back. Haven't seen you for a bit. Yeah, it's closed. Okay, and Asia as well. All right. There can be a lot of volatility on days like today. You'll see that since there's not a lot of traders, sometimes you can get it's larger traders here in the US can move the market. So this is something to be aware of. I'm not really seeing much right now. In fact, you know, we haven't come back down below the low here, or where the 930 cash open began. All right, so but we're going to keep an eye on this area. This is going to be a really critical area right here. Okay, so let's draw up our horizontal line. Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, let's take a look here. So yeah, I mean, not really seeing much here. Trying to look and see who's in control here. Okay, look, we haven't done this exercise for a bit, and who is in control here? What would you guys say? Good morning, Carl. I haven't seen you in here in a bit too. Right now, sellers. Well, I guess time frame would be the question, yeah, I would say buyers are. They moved it here on pretty strong volume, and it's held, so they're still in control. However, Alec, if you're talking about in this area here, yeah, I would agree with you. Like, you know, sellers kind of took it here, but look at the battle shaping up. It's pretty equal here, right? So sellers in here moved it lower, and you know, the selling in here is pretty good, pretty strong, but this is pretty strong and consistent buying too, right? And here they come right back to VWAP here, again on strong consistent buying. So now we've even chopped around in this area, dropped, retested this area, and now we're back up here. I'd be looking for buyers here. They're already trading back to VWAP. I'd be looking for them to test this area right here, this 94 area, which is point of control, okay, most traded area, and see if we can get back up in this range here. Okay, so strong buying, so I'm looking for continuation here. All right, so yeah, POC, so you know, we're at 90 right now. Let's look at 94, and you know, everything is looking pretty good. You got some well, it's already almost already there, but you see the bid looks pretty good. Okay, they're pulling on the offer, and we're getting buyers. Okay, so we're back up to, we made it to about 93. Let's see it continue here a bit more and get to 94. Okay, so Alec, you were looking around sellers taking control around 43.90, right around here. Yeah, in fact, this is a good idea. Make anima great again. We can look at the NQ, since this might be kind of a dull day here in the S&P, or we can take a look at some stocks too. I mean, something's going to be moving. You know, we can take a look at crypto. Looks totally different on Bookmap, Thinkorswim. Interesting. Okay, might be your filtering. I don't know. Here's the filtering I have on my volume dots. Okay, so smart clustering on, but very slightly on here. Volume delta dots, 3D bubbles. The size here, the size actually makes a big difference. A lot of times people look at this and go like, oh, yours looks so much different than mine. Let's see, and then I don't have any filtering here for minimum displayed or trade size. Okay. Yeah, we can take a look also at CL, Rob, and Twitter. All right. All right, well, anyway, curious to see if we can get back up. We still haven't gotten to 94 and POC here, but that's what we're looking for. Okay, now it's kind of interesting though, like, you know, our kind of this pivot line here, the kind of under over, like we were just talking about. You know, it would come back up and allow these guys out of the trade, anyone that's bought up here. So that's why I'm curious to see if, although we see these nice little strikes here, strong moves on the buy side, are we going to get up here and let these guys out? I don't know. You can see our answer already. We're not getting to 94. Sellers coming in. Okay, but here we go again. And look at the bid. Looks good. We're getting our buyers here. All right, well, we had this little stop run here. Now let's see if we should get buyers up here. Now if we don't, we had some sellers down here and we revisit and get some sellers here, I'm looking for them to trade down to 86. Okay, this is where we've seen this many times, a kind of a cheerleader for those buyers. They need to commit up here, and let's see, and they need to move price. So here they go. All right, they should be able to do it, and you can see they can't. All right, so watch this area here at 88, 88 and 3/4, 89 basically. Watch this closely here, because if we get buyers and they just can't lift this market, that's when the sellers are going to come in, and we'll get a change in the order flow here. But yeah, we're back up again. We're auctioning. We're finding some buyers. There they go. They should be able to lift this, and I should say likely lift it. So, and there's the move. Now this is going to be a stop run. You already see it here, and you see iceberg purchases at the same time. And a nice one. All right, so from, let's see here, this is negative 200 on up, so about 300 or so. Not bad. All right, to point of control. All right, so now it made the move. This was the minimum move we are looking for in the order flow. Okay, this is a good place to reduce some risk, or consider reducing some risk in your trading plan. We don't do trade recommendations, but these are just considerations to look at for your trading and your trading management, or your trading plan. Okay, different setups or different ways of looking at the market, and that's what the education is all about, being able to apply this to the way that you trade. Okay, so anyway, that's a nice move here, and you can see like these really quick moves like this are typically stop runs. Okay, a sweep of the order book like this. This is a beautiful sweep here. In fact, let's turn on the stops and icebergs, and then we'll take a look at some of these other markets here. Okay, I'm going to take off the automatic here, thresholds, and just look at every single iceberg. All right, so we can see the stop run here, and 137. Does everyone understand this order flow phenomena here? Like, and what we're showing in here, and understanding really. Now you can see an iceberg on the other side here, that 300 that we just talked about on the other side here. I want to go through this example here, and I want to spend just a little bit of time so that just revisit some of these ideas of what Bookmap is showing you, and how to read it, and how to understand it and digest it for your trading. That's really the key, because we're showing the data, like the way Scott says, this is irrefutable. Okay, this is the science part. This is the evidence here, but the data. The art part is your trading plan, and putting together a high probability outlook. All right, so what's going on here in this area? Okay, first off, is this likely? It's a larger player, no doubt. Okay, now is that larger player positioning themselves long? More likely positioning themselves long, or is this larger player getting stopped out? Okay, are they entering the market, or are they getting stopped out here and exiting? What do you guys think? Nat, yeah, DX feed. If you have DX feed, it does not have market by order data, so that's kind of an issue there. So you won't be able to see this information. You will need Rhythmic for it. Let me get to some of these questions here. And yeah, let's just we'll get back to this here in this S&P. I do want to cover this here so that we can go through in a little more detail what it is. But let's take a look at a stock here, MDVL. Okay, and let's see. Twitter. I don't have Twitter up. Okay, and I do have crude. We're on the K contract, right? The April contract. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, I believe so. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, they getting back, Alec, to this S&P and what we were just looking at here. Yikes, where is it? We're starting to break out again. I think we were looking at it here. Yeah, we're looking at it here. And the 137 here. Yeah, I mean, maybe they felt the pressure, and who knows? I mean, maybe they hit markets, or sell. They're positioned. They had to buy back, and move the market here, and felt the pressure. Yeah. It's curious though, because like there's an iceberg right after here for 300. Okay, and they're buying as well. So to me, it's looking like this is kind of bullish, and it looks to me more like entry potentially here. It doesn't really matter, but what matters here, or what I want to get across though, is this larger player lifted the market here. Okay, they did this, and the smaller players. Their stops are within this whole range here. You can look down at the timeline here. We're looking at, I don't know, 150 milliseconds here. And you can see it swept the order book here pretty quickly. We've seen a lot quicker than that. However, you can see all these orders got filled. It just swept. It's all buying, swept the next level, it's all buying, swept the next level, took all the liquidity all the way up. And then at this point here, they're finished. The larger player here has he's finished his buying. It's completed. This we know. And then we also know that there's stops throughout this whole process here from 43.92 and a quarter all the way up to 94 and a half. Okay, so we're talking a couple of points here that these smaller players, they could have been in here all the way up to here, and then they're getting stopped out up here. Okay, so that they're getting kind of stuffed here, and so this is what happens when you get slipped. And you get slipped like 2 points. This is it. In fact, was anyone slipped in this move? Anyone short? And did you get slipped? Okay, and this is why. Okay, now what's curious about this here is, just to go over, since it's in front of us here, what happens in these markets and how they trade, and why we're going over this. is because we're going to build it out from this point onward in a very simplistic way to understand like what makes the market move. And we're going to be able to apply that information to a daily chart, okay, to any time frame. Basically, it does not matter. This is how these markets work. Okay, so you know, you might be trading patterns. Well, it is exactly this kind of activity that makes up the patterns. You might be trading volume profile. It's exactly this kind of activity that makes up the profiles. All right, so this is why it's so important. It is the foundation. So what happened here? Okay, well, after this transaction finished, and then all of these stops that were triggered, you know, these buy stops, likely buy stop losses, they were all triggered after he finished. Then what happened? Okay, what happened after that? What do you guys think? Okay, because this is kind of important here. So the after the transactions took place here, what updated next? Thanks, Travis. CL is rotating to the M today. All right, let's add that in as well. So I'll wait for you guys' answer on that one. Or what do you think? So I can even delete this one here. All right. Okay, so anyway, what updates next? And this is, you know, I mean, I could go on and on and on about this, like, you know, and it's really what's important here is to understand how these markets actually trade. Okay, because this you can apply to any strategy once you start to understand this foundation of how these markets actually trade. So for example, this transaction or these transactions took place, the market buy orders, they were filled, they swept the order book here, then best bid and offer update next. Okay, this is why it looks like, oh, they traded outside of best bid and offer. No, they didn't. Okay, it just swept the order book very, you know, rather quickly here. Stops were triggered, and then best bid and offer update later. Best bid updated first. You can see that here. See the update here came back up to here, and then look at, you know, then the best offer updated, right? You can't have this inversion here either, right? So anyway, the next transactions that took place were here, and they were icebergs. Okay, they are on the bid, and sellers came in here and immediately hit on this. Why would sellers come in here and hit on this and hit this hard? What do you guys think? Okay, this is it's pretty simple. And why would this guy place an iceberg here? What do you guys think? Okay, Alec, yeah. You're a little out of practice, back in the groove here after some days off. Yeah, no problem, no problem. This has to do, you know, with scalping here. Well, it has to do with how these markets, how these markets trade, and this is a really good example. And it's a really good iceberg strategy here. Really intelligent. get back into YouTube here. All right. Well, yeah. So I'll go through and explain it. No problem. Well, typically, this kind of action of a book sweep here leaves a vacuum in price action. A lot of times you'll see it more in stocks and not so much in the S&P. Because they fill in the best bid and offer really quickly. It tracks very, very closely. You know, the best bid and offer will update, and maybe there'll be a few ticks here, as you can see, like a bit of a spread in here for a bit, but it narrows almost immediately, as you guys can see it. See how it's just a couple ticks wide here, or 3 ticks wide here. 1, 2, 3. But you know, and then it normalizes in this back, you know, within a second or two, it's back, right? So but this kind of volatility kind of shook things up a little bit in here. Well, typically this is like a kind of a vacuum, and there's a ton of buying, and there's no selling. Sellers can typically move price right back down to where this initiated with very little effort, because there's no one on the bid, or there's very few. They're usually still down here on the bid somewhere. So this is why I'm bringing this up, is one of the strategies we look at and cover is a low volume pullback. Okay, so it doesn't take much for to move it back down here. Now, I would, you know, speculate on this, that there's a lot of after a nice stop run like this, or a nice move like this with a stop run, there's a lot of scalpers who will try to trade it right back here. Okay, and fill that area really quickly. But here's an iceberg on the other side. Right, and they're just absorbing it, you know, so they're positioned 300 contract, almost 300 contracts here, 289. Okay, so that's pretty bullish, and it's pretty smart too, because you know, if you're going to get those scalpers that try to trade back in here, you're just going to absorb everything that they have. All right, and you're going to lock price from coming back down here. You may, and you can see what happened here. All right, so you know, they got filled, those larger players, with their icebergs, and then price just kind of dribbled back down here. Some buying in here, as you can see, a little bit of buying in here, not much selling in here, and then finally a little bit of selling here, and they just kind of move it right back down to where? To high liquidity here at 92, and that's where this move initiated. Okay, so now we have a new range, a new trading range here. Okay, now albeit for just a small time, but you can see it in here. Okay, it's actually a little bit lower, came back down to here. Okay, and then yeah, just back and forth and back and forth. Right, came back down, tested the bottom of this range, came back up, and now is letting these guys out, right, that were trapped in there, and then we get the move continuation to the upside here. Okay, so I didn't know that any of this unfolded here, and this move to the upside after that happened. Okay, because we haven't even revisited price after that. All right, so that's why I was thinking this is likely bullish due to this kind of activity. Okay, and understanding the transactions within here. All right, and ultimately that played out pretty well to the upside here. All right, so just understanding some of these events in here and putting some of these pieces together can really be helpful in understanding to fit into the move back up into this range here. All right, and that's why we cover this kind of stuff. And here's unbelievable breakout. I mean, from that little area here. It's not unbelievable, but I mean, it's a nice move here, seven points or so on a pretty slow day, and very, very quick move all the way back up to the highs again. You know, made higher high here. Okay, after this event. This event was pretty critical. All right, so anyway, that's why we want to cover these things and provide this foundation, understanding of what's going on in some of these areas here, because you're getting insight to them, and that's an edge. All right, and anyway, you'll have to do your own studying on that and build your own edge. So that's you know, a really important part here. You know, we have Jay Trader, we have Scott Pulcini. In the afternoons, we have Tom B. And they go through the way that they trade. Okay, but you need to digest it yourself and put it together in a plan that works for you. That's really, really important. Okay? Not to try to emulate someone else. It has to resonate with you. Anyway, let's continue on. All right, so a nice move to the upside here. Let's jump over and, well, just kind of looking at it here and what might be happening at this point. Well, I'm really curious. We're back up into this. We drew this line here around 98, okay, where it dropped from here, back up above it, back down kind of below it here. Or just at it here. We're at point of control. So we're going to have to see quite a bit of volume move price away from this area here in order to, you know, test down to 90 or the lows down here 77 or even some of these highs up in here. Okay, because this is the magnet here. Okay, this is value, and it's just a really simple concept here. That what you're looking at is most trades took place around this area here. Okay, so to move it away from that area, we need quite a bit of volume, and that's where we're going to look at it, and we're going to read these ranges in here and look for those moves. All right, enough said. We'll quickly jump over to the Nasdaq. Let's take a quick look here. I've got this liquidity marker on here. Okay, a new product. And wow, this is nice. You can see the difference here. You know, here's the double top here, but this broke out, higher highs. Beautiful move, and right back down to the top of this range here. Okay, so still bullish on Nasdaq until you see something different. Okay, likely look for that move right back up to the swing here at 90 or 13,980. Okay, and then if it can, maybe it can come back up into this 990 as well. Okay, because this is the structure up here and a test back up to it. Okay, so anyway, that's the Nasdaq here. It could still come back down and test these areas at 950 here, the figure or half figure, and still be bullish here. All right, but this is a nice move here, and big distinction between that and the S&P, as you guys can see. Big distinction, right? So is this leading the market here, or is, you know, the S&P going to pull the Nasdaq down? We'll have to take a look at that correlation a little closer here. All right, let's jump over to a few stocks. And see what's going on. So let's take a look at Twitter. 930 cash open, move down, right back up, higher highs, just about to 47, just a little bit shy of 47, almost 29,000 shares up there. And all right, so we got to get those buyers in here again. They're starting to come in, so looking for them to move it up to 46.50 here. We're almost there, but I like the transactions up here, and I want to see more buyers up here, and then they've got to break the structure. Okay, again, structure, market structure is just so important, and it's just made up of the order book and the transactions. Okay, so what we went through on that micro level in that sweep of the order book, same idea within these market structures. Okay, so we're looking for buyers up here. They didn't show. Test the low of this range here. Okay, so could also come down to this liquidity here at 46. Let's take a look. Yeah, I got the liquidity tracker on here. I'm going to take that off. And we just have CBD. Well, we found some buyers in here. They traded into these sellers, and then they were able to get back above it. But now we're back down below it here. Just not really seeing much here at the moment. Yeah, not seeing much in this range here at the moment. Or we'll come back and maybe take a look at it. Let's take a, yeah, you can see here the M contract. It's not quite ready, so we can still look at the K contract here on crude oil. Okay, till those volumes roll over. Nice move to 108.50. Couldn't get above it. Or I'm sorry, yeah, they did get above it here, and then some sellers came in. But again, market structure trading up in this range, breakout here. Okay, so from this range to this range. And let's take a look at it here. Okay, well, some buying up here, more buying than selling. Yeah, in this whole range here, we can turn on CVD, the light blue line in here. So there's still more buying. So we got to get back up here at 108 and see these buyers again, and then we can get our breakout probably back up to 108.50 here. Here they go. Yeah, that would be the anticipated move here, and most likely 110, 120, and then maybe 50 here. Or sorry, 810, 820, 850. Yeah, buying looks good. Okay, let's see if the bid looks good. Come on, buyers right here. 108 and then 810. Looking for it. And then 820. 820, I have VWAP up there as well. So it's a nice place to test. And buyers took this liquidity on, and they're still buying pressure up here, so I'm looking for them to trade through it. Here they go. Okay, so they took this guy on and traded into him, and now we want to see them trade above it. Here we go. and just looking for follow through 810 and then 820. All right, that's the reading on that. And 820 also fits in pretty nicely with the drop over here in this kind of swing. All right, let's take a look here. What else? Went through crude, went through Twitter. Yeah, Twitter's just still bashing around in here. MDVL. We missed that. And that just unfolded a few minutes ago. Yeah, likely, to be honest, the this move here, the buyers came in here, cash open, move this higher up into high liquidity here around 325 or 330. And then it struggled, couldn't get back up above. Lower liquidity here at 325. This is what JTrader looks at as well. Understanding this, there's more on the offer at a lower level here. Now, I'll be honest though, I still see buyers up here still auctioning off up here. I'd be looking for them to take these guys on, try to trade through it and move on up to 350. Now this is kind of important to go through because this failed pretty quickly, and this is going to be a huge stop run. But what we look for here, and we've seen this in the future indexes all the time, is we're still looking, we're still bullish here, still looking, they're still buying up here, it's still auctioning. All right, a little bit of selling down here, yeah, it's not bad. But they're still, buying in here. But this is where they're failing to lift. And they're trying again and trying again. You can see multiple tries here. And it's even transacting up here. Okay, buyers are up here. They're transacting into these little areas here at the swing highs. Okay, but they're failing to get higher. And here's a lower high and a lower high here and lower high in here. Now, I know that's subtle. It's only it's a $3 instrument. However, each penny is going to be quite a bit here. It can't get back up there. So even though they're auctioning here, and look at this in here too, buyers here failing to move this higher. Okay, look for the sellers on the other side. Look for the swing down here with this cluster of selling. You get more sellers down here, it's likely going to move away and to the next level, which would be probably this swing here, or maybe the cash open down here, and that's exactly where it went to. Okay, so reading the order flow within these levels here, and starting to understand the auction here is really important, and you can start to anticipate these kinds of moves here unfolding, and they're usually pretty quick as well, because it's a lot of people getting stopped out. Okay, so anyway, yeah, likely if we were covering this in real time, we would have been looking for this to go higher. Okay, and then there would be a caveat when we'd see this selling down here and they can't make a higher high, they can't bring it back up here to 20 or 23 up in these areas here. And if they're trying and they're struggling and you see the selling starting to come in, then we flip the idea and we're looking for the move lower. All right, so that's my coverage here on MDVL and reading the order flow here. Now, you VWAP traders, I mean, it's up to you, but you can see, like, I don't know, I'm not getting much out of the VWAP, but maybe you guys would. I mean, it is kind of an under over here, kind of aligning up with you know, the move back down, but they're bashing around here, and then they couldn't get back up above it. That might be another factor. I don't know. I would be looking at the buyers at the top of the range compared to the sellers at the bottom of the range instead. All right, let's jump back to some of the questions here. So sorry about that. Went up for a rant. Oh yeah. So Mystic Ty, like the MBO data, you can get directly from Rhythmic. You don't need to be connected to a broker, right? So if you want to use this just for data analysis and then you know, trade from somewhere else connected to your broker, or you can even connect to your broker within Bookmap here, but then get, you know, another data feed, and a Rhythmic data feed. How you can do that here, let me show you. You can go to let's just go to the Bookmap portal here. Okay, that'll open up the portal. All right, that opens the portal here, but I'm going to click on the more button here, and then under the more button, the marketplace here. Okay, so let's click on that. We'll go to the marketplace, and you can just get Rhythmic data here. Okay, it's $39 per exchange, or you can get the bundle for all 4 exchanges from the CME. This is only for the CME group, so you can get either CME individually, CBOT individually, COMEX, NYMEX all individually, or all together for $99. Okay, or each one individually for $39. All right, so yeah, subscribe to it here. We'll send you the credentials, and you can log in and get up and running. You will need to have then the next thing here that you subscribe to. It works with either Global or Global Plus, but you'll need the MBO bundle of indicators here, and that's what has the stops and icebergs here. Okay. How do I incorporate CBD into the analysis here? Very simply, just looking at the same ideas here that we just kind of covered in this MMDVL, where we're looking for clusters of buyers trying to lift this higher here, okay? And then we're looking for it down here as well, and we're looking at, you know, these clusters of sellers down here as well. Okay, now the CVD, let's just zoom into this little range in here. Okay, and the way to do that too is click on the zoom, zoom by drag, and then we'll go from this area here on over to right before where it broke. Okay, and then now that's within the viewable range here, and you got to click on it again here to deselect it. Okay, and let's look at the CVD in here. Okay, so we see a lot of sellers come in here. Well, that's because of that drop, and then some buyers here, but you know, the CVD is not really telling us much, to be honest. Yeah, it went a little bit higher in here. It's this cluster of buying, and then it's just back and forth in here. Okay, not bad here. Okay, more buying back up here, but look at the CVD. Okay, there's some divergence here, not much. Okay, but it's kind of making an equal high. It's a little bit lower, but look at the buying in here, right? Now, you know, you don't have to lean too hard on your CVD in here. Okay, you can look at the cluster of selling in here and in here. You pretty much know it's going to be rather equal. Okay, so, you know, this is why the way I like to kind of cover indicators, stops and icebergs, whatever it is, it's a confluence. Okay, read the order flow first. Get good at reading the order flow, and then you can look at this to give maybe some additional confluence or insight here. Okay, now we already know that it's going to, because it's buy minus sell, that this cluster of selling in here is going to have a pretty big impact on cumulative volume delta. Okay, even that the buying kind of cluster in here, well, you know, this is how you can start to read who's in control as well. You know, the sellers, you know, were able to drop this here. You get buyers back up above it, but they just can't do it. You do get your divergence in here, but you know, we're looking for who's going to take control and move it away from this range here. And CBD is helping maybe a little bit, but not much. And then now we're looking for sellers down here. Okay, here's a nice one. Okay, they could have moved it at this point. We have, you know, high liquidity on the offer. Okay, that just dropped here. Pretty aggressive, very close to our right on best offer. And buyers don't take them on. We find some sellers here. That's pretty good. I'd be looking for it to trade to $3 down here. And it doesn't. It goes back and forth here a few more times, and then it does. Okay, I would have been looking for it here for that order book sweep from down to 3, minimum 3. You know, just test into this liquidity here, and then maybe you can sweep down to, you know, this 290, and that's the sweep came after it kind of went back and forth here again, and then found the sellers move it. All right. Hope that makes sense for you. Do you think having high volume or low volume when price hits thick walls matters? Yeah, I mean, it's this context and relationship between the buyers and sellers and supply and demand. Okay, and what I mean by buyers and sellers is the volume dots or the aggressors. It's the aggressors that can move price. Okay, they hit the bid here and they can move it lower. They can sweep the order book like we went through that order book sweep to the upside. Here, you know, we had the book sweep to the downside. Sellers came in and took all liquidity from one level, the next level, and the next level. Okay, until they stop selling. Now, just because it's a dynamic here, just because a high wall of liquidity, well, then there has to be high, in this case, high selling to move through it. That's all. So it's a context here. If you don't get sellers and they kind of trade into it, maybe in, you know, kind of waffles, you know, at this area here around 290, and not enough selling pressure to get through it, well, the buyers, there's more demand here on the bid, and they're absorbing that selling pressure. Okay, in that case, and there's not enough sellers to trade into it and take that liquidity, well, then it makes sense if we start to curl around and find buyers on the other side. They're going to move it back up, and they're going to move it back up into some of these clusters or areas where it dropped from and retest some of these areas here. Okay, we'd be looking for that, and that would also be a low volume pullback, potentially. And a lot of times that happens, right? So that's a really important element to cover about the context. And I know it sounds a lot of times like, you know, you hear the word context all the time. It's really the best word to describe it, and sometimes it sounds like a cop-out. But, you know, I'm going through these scenarios here, and as I mentioned, you know, I would have been looking for the buyers to try to lift it, okay, in some of these areas in here, and then down here, I would have been looking for them to right here, for them to trade it lower, okay, because they're starting to auction down here, and I'd be looking for it here at this point, okay, just to be honest, because like we know this already happened, but just go through this and we'll do it in real time. That's what these webinars are for, is to put this education to work in the live market. All right, so let's see, let's jump back and forth here. Okay, so Twitter starting to trade back up here, not very convincing. They're back at the top of the range here, starting to break out. All right, well, if we get enough here, let's see, this isn't bad. right? But we got to get more here. Then I'd be looking for 47. Likely, I'd still look for 47 here, but I don't. This is not, talk about context. Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, we see some selling in here as well, and some buying. Okay, but if we get it, we don't have right now too much insight. It can go either way. Okay, but it's nice that they, we have buyers back up above this range here. Okay, so you can, now you see the sellers come back in. Now, are they auctioning down here? Not much. So we're back up here. Okay, now do we get lots of buyers up here? If we do, we'd be looking for the breakout. 80 and then 46.80 and then 47. Okay, now we also want to look at supply and demand in here, and we don't see very much. Okay, there's a lot of demand here, not really. We can come down here very, very quickly. There's 3,100 shares down here. Okay, and there's 39. See, this guy actually pulled here, and and lifted it. He put it up here at 56 now. Now let's see if we get our buyers here. Okay, now we have more demand. Now we have more insight. So we're looking for most likely move is the breakout here. Okay, we had more demand up here, and we're getting more buyers in here, the green dots, and we're looking for them to lift it up into 80. Okay, so there it goes in real time, and you can see, and this is the insight, right? This guy down here pulled, and the moment that he pulled, he added it up here at 56. Okay, and we got the move. So now we're up at and transacting into 80. Okay, I'm sorry, one tick shy of 80. Still looking for them though. There's another skew in the order book here. Now that there they go. So this skew in the order book here, or just more demand at a higher level here, you can see we want insight now. The context of this insight is, okay, well, here's more demand. Does it repel sellers? Do we get buyers on the other side? Yes. Okay, so we're looking for it to go higher. Okay, and I was just about to say, well, not very nice buying up here though. Okay, totally absorbed here, not seeing big green dots right now. So likely sellers will take it right back down to here, and they may even take it back down to 46.68. Okay, we want to see that these big transactions up here, and trade into and through this liquidity. Okay, now here they go again, and they might, but you can see the battle already starting to rage here. Here, look at this guy just came in here, larger player. Look at him, how aggressive he is. Okay, 20,000 shares. Now it's 13,000 shares. One player is holding probably about 10,000 shares here. Okay, and he's having an effect on the market. And that's our context here. And that's what we're reading. We're reading this battle between these aggressive buyers and lots of supply. Okay, and we're finding buyers still. They're trading into it. And there's our context. All right, now they're through it. All right, let's see them move it on up to 47 now. Okay. Do they have the buying pressure? Well, yeah, they're starting to buy again up here. We have buyers and sellers in here at the moment, in this little area here. Okay, back down to 80. Okay, likely going to be a stop run here. All right, do we get buyers back up here at 80 again? Let's see. All right, then let's see if they can lift it up here to this liquidity at 85. Boom. Let's see if they can lift it above 85. Back up to 90 and then 47. Okay, what kind of volume is this though? Like, if we look at this move from here onwards, what is this setup here? I'm so bad, I know you know it. Exactly. That's your low volume pullback. Okay, we were kind of looking for more buyers back up here, and we still might get it. Yeah, here they go. All right, so now, this was convoluted. The low volume pullback still made a lower low here, but now look at the buyers back up here. Okay, getting out of the way, we should get our buyers. We should be able to hit 47 now. Okay, looking for 47. Okay, but yeah, we'll cover the low volume pullback. I mean, this is kind of micro. It's not, to be true micro structure, you're really looking at stuff like this. You're really zooming in. Okay, so don't let someone tell you that. It's when you're looking at, you're really looking at microstructure. You're looking at very, very small areas. Okay, the quants will tell you that, and but we can kind of refer to it at these small kind of micro-esque structural areas here. So anyway, in this move here, this is where this is why we cover on different time frames who's in control. Sellers in control. They took this market lower on some pretty high volume here. If we zoom out a little bit, look at the selling in here. Look at the bars. Look at the dots. Okay, look at all of this down here, and there's this is where the strong buying came in, right? So sellers took control from this area here. Back down here, do we see sellers here? Do we see buyers up here? No sellers here. Buyers back up here. Fill the void back up into 85. Okay, hit this liquidity here. And then we looked at this volume here, and we noticed, okay, lots of sellers, not a whole lot of buyers up here. This is a low volume pullback. If we get our sellers on the other side here, and you can see here, and they start to auction down here as well, we're looking for them to break it. Okay, and they did. Okay, this is where it gets convoluted though. This is the low volume pullback, and it just came down and broke a low, and this failed. This low failed here. This breakdown failed here. Okay, so you can see what happened though. Sellers, and then no cluster up here. That would be nice if there was a buying cluster up here, but a pullback. And no selling in here. Very, very little selling in here. Okay, auctioned a little bit down here. But look at the buyers start to come in here. And then up here, buyers. Okay, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. This looks better. Okay. And then looking for them to try to move it back up to 47. And we still haven't gotten to 47. Okay, it came pretty close. 2 cents away. Came to 98. Okay, and a lot transacted up here at 98 actually. 16,000 shares. Okay, that gives us a little more insight. Transaction clusters, it can auction up here. We get back up here, we're going to likely trade into 47. All right, so anyway, it's again the context that we're understanding within the structure. Okay, now and there's two different structures. We're looking at very simple structures in here. Okay, but there's two different structures that I want to cover. One is patterns, okay, areas of consolidation and breakout, okay, or head and shoulders, reverse head and shoulders, and what's happening down in these areas. It's again that context of reading that order flow and buyers coming in on the other side and then trading up into areas of high liquidity. Like this, is this going to be a double top, or is this is much more, to me this looks much more like a cup and handle pattern, because here's the move up, pull back, and then it's still up here though. It's like this turns into cup and handle, or even like a bull flag. You get buyers and then pull back, and then we're looking for buyers and continuation. Okay, now is it going to fail or not? And that's where the order flow is going to tell us. And right now it's not looking too good for the bulls. Look at high liquidity coming in here on the offer, one player, and we're starting to find some sellers. Okay, now here's our context. The buyers took them on, traded into them, and threw them, and now they're starting to trade up here. Okay, interesting battle here. Okay, it's this context between the supply here and the buyers, and the demand is down here. Okay, so, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of sellers, lower this market here. So let's see if we get our buyers back in. Look at the reaction to this demand. All right, they should be able to, we'd be more likely, we're looking for it to auction back up here and then break it and come up into this 46.85. Okay, makes sense. Okay, now does it auction up here? Starting to. One more tick, 82. And then not just 85, I think we can get to our, yeah, the 24,000 shares up here, or maybe even higher, maybe back up to a 40. Well, that is our 47. 34,000 shares up there. So here we go. Okay, so here's our, and now this looks good, right? This looks good. Good buying up here. Okay, and it's creating a new trading structure up here. Here they go. All right, buyers, let's see the breakout. 80, 95 and 47. It's heavy selling. It's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for this. We want to see buyers up here, not heavy selling down here. Yeah, so yeah, we kind of shied away from it here. Look, it was looking pretty good. Try it again, and then heavy selling in here. Okay, now this is why we look at these clusters, and it's just so important, and it's much more important to understand these clusters in CVD. We need to see buyers back up above this area here. This is the relationship. There's sellers here. If we get buyers back up above it, great. Then they can move it back up into these and touch these areas of high liquidity here. Go after it. Okay, here we go. Let's see it. We need to see buyers up here. We're getting them. All right, let's see 90 and 47, the figure here. Okay, more buyers up here. Yep, great, looking good. Continuation up into 40,000 shares up here, and immediately sells off. Let's see if we get more buyers back up here again. Okay, totally absorbed up here. Still 33,000 shares up here. Looking for buyers to test it again here. They traded into it. There they go. Now let's see them break it. Look at all that buying. All right, now just a tick or two higher, and then we should get a move into 47. We're more likely, put it that way, it's auctioning higher. And here's the caveat on this, and you guys know this well, is we want to see that strong, consistent buying all the way through. This is where it gets tricky, not just up here, because it's like these sellers that were, well, this is actually pretty good. This selling was actually pretty strong and consistent here, but you get one kind of cluster up here trapped, bring it down, bash the other side of the range here, and get a cluster of selling down here, and then buyers come back in and then trade it back up to here, and then finally get the breakout. So what I'm trying to get at here is look for that strong, consistent selling that's going to move it away from an area, or strong, consistent buying, sorry, and then, or strong, consistent selling, moving it away from an area. Okay, that gives us more insight. instead of kind of trapped up at the top. We're still looking for it here. We're still looking for 47 because they took these guys on and it was trading above it. And when that didn't work out. Okay, now we're back down to the bottom of the range, and watch the stop run below here. Okay, and then we'll see if buyers can do the same thing and then come back up and trade right back to 90. Okay, looking for sellers to get on the hook here. Okay, maybe a little lower, maybe down here. Here we go. Okay, so here, would like to see some more selling, and then like to see buyers lift it away above 76 here. There they go. Okay, now lift it back up to here, 83, and then back up here to 80 or 90. And then if they can, and they can start to transact up here again, then we're looking for 47. That's really where it wants to trade, is 47. Okay, so study these things. This will keep you from getting stopped out at the bottom of the range. Instead, you'll be entering here, looking for top of the range, reducing risk, and looking for a breakout. That's a possibility or a consideration. Okay, here CBD is starting to tell us something here too. There's more buying in here still. Okay, made a lower low, but CBD didn't. Okay, right in here, lower low. CBD sure didn't though. So what that means is there's still more buying in here, basically. All right, makes sense. I mean, this alone, and understanding this dynamic in the order flow here, I mean, that's golden. Now, instead of like having to take a full stop loss here and then get back in, maybe you're looking for the breakout here, maybe you take a small stop, get back in here, look for the move back up, etc. I mean, instead of just feeling this pain and getting stopped out and being the food in the food chain here. Okay, and understanding this dynamic here. Pulls away. Look at even the retest back to that little area here. All right. All right, let me get to some of the YouTube questions. Sorry, guys. Not that one. Hold on. This one. Okay. Yeah, Tony, I'm not sure what you mean by 15-point move on the ES is not foundational. Guys, beautiful move into 47 there. Just beautiful. And looking for it to continue. Look at how strong. Let's just zoom out. Look at how strong that buying is here. Right? I'm looking for 47.50. All right, this looks good. So this finally, after all this kind of back and forth, and look at this liquidity and this battle in here, who won the battle? All right, and then you can go with the flow here. Okay, and this is our cup and handle pattern. Now it usually doesn't have to bash around in here that many times, just once or twice, and then you look for that continuation. Okay, or cup and handle is basically like here's our bull flag, you know, volume, and then back and forth, and then volume to the upside. Okay, so still looking for buyers to, they're exploring higher here. Okay, so looking for high liquidity on the offer to be targets here. Anyway, some good stuff in here, and this is the same stuff we see in the S&P. We'll jump back to the S&P in a minute. John, who's moving price when it goes on a stop run hunt? Well, you know, again, just like we can go through auction theory at really kind of a binary level, and you know, start to understand, like, I mean, just think about, like, as a market maker or a larger player holding lots of liquidity. You know, you can kind of lift your offers up to an area, and you know, if buyers want to reach it, well, that's where they got to go. And maybe there's a lot of stops within that area, buy stops triggered, and you know, you can look for that dynamic, or you know, just like in here, there's going to be some stops in here. A lot of people in here, they're getting stopped out and the move to the upside. Now, guys, look at the pullback here. Okay, where did it go? 47. Big volume cluster here. Also is the big figure, but look at this, the volume here, it's the transactions here. Okay, it could come back down into the middle of the range and come to the point of control here around 46.80, and you could still be bullish. Now, once it starts to get through 80 and get down into this area here, and you see sellers, then you know, you can look for the move lower. Okay. Even this move here, what's this move so far? This volume here. Now, they, you know, in a smaller time frame, yeah, sellers took control here. Okay, but what is this called here? And let me get to Discord. Low volume pullback. Exactly. This is where the volume actually picked up quite a bit. It's not it's not as low, so we have to be really careful at this area here at 47. Okay, what looked like a slam dunk up to 47.50 is now, because of this selling in here, is getting very suspicious. Okay, or you know, we have to kind of reevaluate the order flow here. Okay, now they're below 47. Okay, but again, we can even here at like 80, we can still be bullish. Okay, because that's where this move really started to unfold. Now, this is not a low volume pullback at this point. Sorry about that confusion here. Here it is. Okay, here it's kind of equal volume. So sorry about the confusion there. Usually what we want to see in cumulative volume delta is very little volume. Now, if you look at it here, it is true. It's like a low volume pullback. I mean, you just don't see a whole lot of volume in there. Okay, but cumulative volume delta is helping here. Okay, there actually is kind of within this whole little area in here, there's a lot of selling as well. Okay, so once it came back down here, it's kind of equal to the buying here. Okay, so cumulative volume delta is good there. right? And this is where we mentioned, like on the flip side here, this is where the sellers took control in the smaller time frame. Okay, even though it's less volume than this over here, they took control in this time frame. Okay? And buyers can't get back up here yet. All right, let's see if they can get back up above 47 on some good buy volume here. Okay, see the cluster here, the selling. Again, control here, and then also control in here. Okay, buyers still not able to do it yet. Even more selling in here. So let's see if they can get back down to our 46.80, okay, or below. Now, okay, so we're going through this in Twitter here on, and you know, my mistake on that low volume pullback comment earlier, but we reevaluated it and we looked at it, and it's like, wow, okay, it's a low volume pullback here, but not in cumulative volume delta. Okay, this gave us some really good insight, and the retest back up here, can't get back up above it. More sellers in here, can't get back above it. Looking for more sellers in here, looking for a 46.80. Hasn't quite gotten there yet. Starting to bounce around 85. Okay, and then now let's see if we get back up here and get our buyers. See them coming in. Okay, well then looking for them to break this, and let's see if they can break the range and then retest back up here. Okay, now I don't see much liquidity up here, but around 47.13 or so. Okay, this swing up here, and nothing shaken so far. Just nice volume cluster. Okay, here we go again. All right, so be careful here. Like we mentioned here, nice cluster up here. We can come back up here, and if we can auction up here again, then likely we'll get our move. But this is where we have to be careful. It's not that strong, consistent buying that we're looking for. Okay, instead it's a cluster up here. See, it's a cluster down here now. Right, so let's see. Yeah, and look at this guy coming in now with 11,000 shares. Just jumped into the order book. One player holding the vast majority of the shares there, and getting filled. All right, so we found some buyers. Take them on. Let's see if we get them back up above here. Great. Looking for the breakout now. Back up to, yeah, probably 47.20. Okay, up to our swing here. But the liquidity is up here at 47.20. Okay, not bad, not bad. Let's see a little bit higher here. Can't quite make it. All right, let's see here. It's 11:30. It's the European close if Europe was open, if the markets were open. But I want to review some things. Let's go through and review, because there's some really good stuff in here today, I think. And again, it's by understanding these markets and building it out from there. Okay, that's why our education part 1 here, I highly recommend it. You guys go to or we can just do a search for it, Bookmap education part 1. educational course, part 1. Okay, here it is here, basic market mechanics. Okay, market structure is the next one, part 2. I highly recommend it. Go through here. Once you start to understand these markets, understanding these moves is you can start to look for higher probability for those moves to start to unfold. Okay, and start to understand the order flow within them. So now on this move back up, look at the nice, we're above all of where these sellers came in and moved it lower. Okay, now is it strong, consistent buying in this? It's not bad. Yeah, I think more likely here, if we get our buyers up here, more likely we're going to get the move to 47.50 basically. Look at the demand down here. Okay, there's 22,000 shares down here now. Okay, at 47.10. Okay, where are they? Look how they line up here where it broke out from. Okay, so understanding where that volume is transacting within these ranges here. And there's our move. Come on, let's get to 50 here. That's where it wants to go. And we can look at this now, on smaller time frames. Maybe you would have been in here looking for it. Maybe you got stopped out, but you got back in here looking for it. Maybe you took some profit up here, or we were looking for it to go higher at 47.20. And then we're reading it in here, and it's like, okay, is it a low volume pullback? And then, after making a mistake and then looking at it, no, it's not a low volume pullback. All right, well, they can trade it back down to these areas here, and then again looking for this consistent buying or these clusters, and where they take place, and if it can auction there again. If it came back up here and we didn't see these buying clusters up here, okay, and there was like high liquidity in here, for example, on the offer, and buyers didn't trade into it, you don't see a big volume dot in here. Instead, you start to see sellers on the other side here, and maybe it repels buyers here, and we come back down here and we see more selling. Likely we're going to get the break to the downside then. Okay, and this whole breakout here would fail. Okay, but that's not the scenario. That was the scenario, but that didn't unfold. So we were looking for this as being trapped, buyers pull it away, come back up here, auction back up here, and then break out. All right, so putting some of these scenarios within your trading plan, you can just do this all day long. Right, and if you want to trade volume profile, higher time frames, lower time frames, on a medium time frame or a small time frame, you could have been in and out of this a few times. On a higher time frame, you'd probably be just sitting in it and waiting. Maybe you're looking for 48 altogether, right? And you wouldn't have been shaken out at all. Well, you wouldn't have been shaken out of this either. You would have been reading it and looking for those buyers to take it back up here again. But you can see the structure held here. Okay, it came back down to just about 80. It was about 85, and then moved higher. Okay, so this market structure, this here and this move, no different. Okay, and looking at some of these daily, hourly, or 15-minute candles. Okay, look at the structure here on this S&P. Okay, so it traded up here. Look at the wicks up here. Okay, on the 15-minute. Right, we even have a line in here that we drew from last week, and we're back down here again. All right, well, then let's see if can we get back down to the swing low here. Okay, this is the cash open here, so we've already traded back down to this swing from back on April 11th. Okay, now if we get more sellers down here. See, look at the selling up here, rejection up here. Do we get more sellers down here? Let's take a look. And that's the here's our cash open, right? So let's zoom in here. And let me take stops and icebergs. Let me just filter them actually this time. Okay, I'm just going to use the automatic threshold filter here. I really like this. Really, really intelligent from the developers. Yeah, there's some selling down here. Okay, so same idea. Okay, here we have exhaustion here. Do we get sellers right here at 78 and a quarter? Let's see. No. If we get 78 and a quarter here, I'm looking for them to trade it right back down to the bottom of the range here. Here they go. Okay, and now they have the potential to break it too and trade back down into lower lows here. Okay, and test maybe the low of the cash session here. Here they come. Okay, be careful. Again, it's the same idea here. Cluster, if the cluster is here, might come up and bash on the other side here again. Right? So same as Twitter. Same idea, same concepts. Okay, we don't see that consistency. In fact, the consistency is here on the sell side. So sellers are kind of in control from this very small time frame here, 11:33 onward. Okay, so for the last 4 or 5 minutes. Thank you, Aerosol. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I really appreciate your guys' feedback. Yeah, let me know, how you guys feel. If this is helpful for you. Would love to hear, you know, your feedback. What you guys look at, or what you'd like me to cover more. We have an array of new indicators and new things coming out. It's really a pretty amazing stuff. I was just kind of debriefed last week on some of these things. They're incredible, especially for you crypto guys. Like there's a few incredible products out there. Unbelievable. I mean, like, yeah, it's like Santa's workshop over here. I'm telling you, like there's just all sorts of amazing kind of visualizations of market data that they're coming up with, and able to apply to how we trade and gain insight here. It's amazing. So we'll be covering some of those in the weeks to come. Thanks, MC Loco. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, and H Holmes, the going through Twitter and some of the details in that Twitter setup, this is no different. It is just no different. The markets trade a little bit differently, of course, but they rhyme. There's a rhythm to them. They're not exactly the same. Some are vastly different, but there's still that. It's just supply and demand and an auction. Okay, so this is why, like for this S&P, for example, this is no surprise. We're back down to 70, 75 right now, and we read the order flow. We read who's in control in the smaller time frame. And we look for that scenario here. Now, see, be careful down here now. They're just testing these areas here. This is where we got to see those sellers here. And I'm looking for them. I'll be looking for them, for them to not be trapped here, for sellers to move it away from this area here. Okay, right now, they have the potential to be trapped. Okay, same ideas with Twitter that we were talking about. A cluster and a cluster here. What if we get buyers on the other side here, right? And then we're going to trade back up to here, likely. First stop would be 80, then likely up to 82. Okay, so anyway, sellers so far so good, looking for continuation until we see something different. Okay, 72 and 70. High liquidity's down here at 70. All right. All right, guys. Well, let's see. Let's wrap it up. We'll call it a day, and we will catch up with you guys tomorrow. Okay, same time. All right. Yeah. Take care. Have a good day. Bye bye.